Okay, guys and girls, let's go for a little ride. I have my beautiful Chris with me. You ready to go for a ride, baby?
No, I don't know.
Let's go look at some pecan trees. People have been asking about the pecan trees. Let's go check them out and see how big the pecans are. I've been looking at them a little bit, and they're sure growing.
Okay.
It looks like we may have another good crop this year. That'd be sweet, wouldn't it?
That'd be good.
It would be very good. All right, got Manelli with us. We've had a lot of deer and turkey out here this evening. Everybody's going right now, so we are going to take off and see what we can see this evening. Check out some pecan trees. I've got my backup mule that I'm riding, filthy dirty, but there's a reason that I'm riding my backup mule. And right here is the reason. Right there is the reason. Got a flat tire. Pretty bad flat too. I may have to get me a new tire. But we have been stock at Jimmy Houston Marine and Kawasaki. Tracker Elite dealer and Kawasaki dealer. But that one needs a new horseshoe maybe. This is a really big grove that we're looking at right here. Probably a couple hundred trees in this grove. Back toward the sun you can't see much. We got trees going in every direction, big trees. We don't have a lot of low-hanging fruit here because we trimmed down. We trimmed down so much, but we can come in right in here and you can see a little cluster of 3 or 4, I guess 4 nuts right there in that cluster. And it looks like, man, there might be 5 nuts there, and one of them might be bad. And that bad one might be from a case bear, a springtime we got in there, a case bear. But there's 4 nuts right there. You can see they're pretty good size. And I saw one tree over there that a lot of them were black. The pecans were black, which means they're not any good. And but we've got everything trimmed up so high. We'll go over and take a look at that tree right over there and see if we can find any nuts on it. It's got a few low-hanging brims. It's sort of in a little ditch there. I don't want to get out and walk around here because this grass, as you can see, is really high. And you wouldn't be able to see a rattlesnake in here, and I definitely don't want to step on a rattlesnake. So I'm going to try to pull up underneath some of these trees and look at the pecans while I'm staying in the mule, at least until I get to some place where we got it hayed or brush hogged. And taking a look at this low hanger here, I actually don't see any pecans at all. And we're only looking at the low hanging branches, and generally the further you go up the tree, the more there are. But I can't really see any pecans on these low branches right here at all, so that tree could be totally empty. Now, this tree, it doesn't really matter because it's in a ditch, like you can see. It can't be harvested at all because it's in this ditch, as those trees right over there. Those are trees that are simply left for the animals. Cannot be harvested, but I don't see any pecans on this one low-hanging branch right here. Looking through there, that sun's about to get down where you can probably see them shining pretty good. But this tree looks empty to me. It sure does. Let's go find one that's got some nuts on it. We have trimmed all of these trees up pretty high so we could get under them with our tractor good. We did a lot of trimming last year. Spent a lot of time trimming. But if I can get zoomed in there on some nuts, I see quite a few nuts in this tree right here though. This is one of the lower branches. There's several right there. I'm zoomed in there as good as I can. You can see right there in the center, it's a big old pecan right there, and there's a little cluster right there again, right in the center. Kind of a little bit difficult to see. I do see some brown ones or 2 in there, so it looks like we did have a little bit of a case bear problem in the springtime. As you look around, most of the nuts are looking pretty good. They're not super thick on the trees that I've looked at so far. Maybe we'll find some that are better, but it's kind of hard to see. And that right there, it looks like it's not a couple, 2 or 3 right there. It looks like I don't know if those are good or not. But as we look up that tree, we see quite a few nuts all the way up as we're looking, and they're pretty good size for this time of the year. So that's all good, except for the ones that case bears might have got too. Here is a little bit of a low hanger. If I can get zoomed in there, I guess I'm zoomed. But now that still is shaking If I can get zoomed in here, I can find them, if I can find them, if I can find them. Right there. That's what we're looking for. Those are big pecans. The cluster of only 2 there, might be 3, might be 1 over on the other side. There's several little clusters on this tree right here. This is one kind of low-hanging branch. I saw several pecans on it as I pulled up here and looked at it. As we zoom in and look with the camera, it becomes a little bit more difficult to see them. But there's quite a few on that tree right there. A cluster, is that it right there? No, it's just a leaf. Oh, there's a little cluster right there. 3 or 4. Yeah. Kind of hard to find them. I'll look up there with my eye and then I'll look up there with the camera. That's looking good. They're not loaded, but it's not going to be a washout either. This beautiful grove right here is what we call Sherry's Park. And you can see we mow this all the time because it is on the road leading into the house. And so we mow this because we drive by it. Sherry's Park, you got to keep Sherry's Park mowed. A lot of mowing right there. No house or anything around close. We just like to keep it looking good. The deer enjoy being in there. And we're going to see if we can find some limbs that are down a little bit lower. It's a little bit more difficult looking for pecans right now because we've trimmed these trees up pretty high where we can get under them with tractors a little bit easier and maybe make the harvesting a little bit easier. But I'm going to look around, see if I can find a lower limb or 2 that we might be able to find a pecan or 2 on. Isn't this a beautiful little park area? We had a beautiful place to build a house, except there's no lake here close by. It's a long way from the water. All right, turn that key off. Now we got a low-hanging branch right here. Let's just take a look at it and see what we can find. Nellie sees an armadillo or something took off after, or a squirrel or something. I don't know what we've got right here. We'll take a look. There's a pecan right there, not a super big one, just one pecan. I don't like to see just one like that. There's another one. This is one we can actually get a hold of and pull down a little bit. See a little group of 2 there. These are about half grown probably. As we look up through the tree, we can see a few more pecans up through there. There's a cluster right there. It's not loaded, but it's not bad. This is a beautiful grove right here, like I say. It's a pretty spot, isn't it, baby? Yes, it is. You're right. Beautiful spot. Lots of deer. Elk use this area. Just a beautiful, beautiful place. And we drive by this. The road goes right down there. Hits the main road. It goes back out to the gate and turns off that way. So what a beautiful spot. Obviously, it'd be a beautiful place to have a house sitting here in the evening. The only problem is some of these pecan trees would probably fall on that house sooner or later. Probably sooner rather than later. This is one of the smaller trees, but as we get up here and start to look at this tree, we can see that this baby is looking pretty good. Look at the size of those nuts. Look at the size of those. That's a nice size, and we just start panning around a little bit in there. We don't have to go very far until we find more, and they're nice size as well. We come down here and look at some of these. These are pretty low hanging right there. But again, we've got nuts on those as well. And as I look up through there, I see quite a few. I got zoomed out, so I have to get right on top of them. But you can see quite a few nuts up through that tree. Look at that bunch right there, 3 or 4 of them, looking good. And it's that way, all looking through there. And you can see that this is not a giant tree at all. It's actually a relatively small tree, but lots of nuts on it. This grove behind me has got a couple, 200 or 300 trees in it. Really, really large. And hopefully a lot of them got nuts on them. These are my pride and joy. These are our baby trees, and you can see them out there. I planted, I think it was 100 right here. I've got about 60 that have made it through the years. These trees are 6 or 7 or 8 years old, and I need to plant some more in here. I just never can ever get them early in the year in February when I need to plant them, and so I need to fill in some of these blank spots. But if we look here, we find out that these trees are doing fantastic, fantastic. Look at that big old 3 there, 4 right there in that bunch right there. As we walk around this tree, we're probably going to see several. Don't have to go very far if we see another 3, 2 right there. Now here, I still need to be looking at the ground because there could be a big rattler laying by any of these trees. But as I walk around this tree, you can see that it's loaded. Got the sun a little wrong right now, but you can see that it's loaded. You see those big ones? I'm pointing at them. I don't know if I'm pointing at them or not. Right there somewhere. I guess there they are right there. There they are right there. But as we look around out here, and we can just walk to a couple, 2 or 3 trees here. We'll just walk out here to a couple of nice ones and see if all the trees have got them or only a handful. And as we walk over to this one here, now here we do have a lot of lower branches because these trees, we haven't trimmed them obviously up very high. There's a big nice bunch there, nice bunch right there. We don't have to move very far at all here to find pecans, and a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones. You can see what we're finding here. Now these trees are not large enough to shake. You can see as we keep going up, we just keep finding pecans. Clusters and clusters of pecans. This is what we want. These trees are beautiful. They're gorgeous. Look at these right here. You can see how large those are. Those are just big old beautiful pecans. No damage to any of them. And they're all over. They're just clumps and clusters of them all over this tree. So we'll probably have to hand pick these. You can see how low these are over here. 3 of them right there, but absolutely gorgeous all the way up that tree. Everywhere we look is pecans. That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna walk right over here because this is a big tree over here. You'll notice, you look at the size of these. Some of these are a lot bigger than others. It's probably because of the underwater ground source. Pecan trees are, I better be watching this ground here. We mow this field out here also, but there could be a big rattlesnake laying anywhere or crawling this time of the evening. They could definitely be crawling, and they could crawl and be laying around these trees. They like to lay around these big trees in the shade. So we're gonna look at this big old tree over here. It's a big tree. We don't have to look very much until we start finding some big nuts on it, but it doesn't look like it's near as loaded as that other tree over there was. You sort of have to look kind of careful sometimes. As I walk around this tree, and I'm watching the tree but watching the ground at the same time, we walk around this tree, we found that other tree over there really had a lot more nuts on it. These nuts appear to be larger, and they're really healthy, but now there may be more nuts as we go further up the tree, but these lower hanging branches don't seem to have quite as many. Pretty easy to overlook them though, to be honest with you. As big as they are, sometimes they're kind of hard to see, but this tree, although it's a larger tree, it's probably got a lot more nuts on it just because it's bigger. But a lot of these lower hanging branches don't seem to have near the nuts that the other one did. As we start moving up, we can begin to see quite a few nuts up that tree as we look. But they don't seem to have quite as many as that one I looked at back there. So I'll tell you what, let's do. Just walk one more row over. Take a look at this one. Then we'll go back here and look at these 2 big ones. See those big ones back there in the end? 3 great big ones back there, and usually those guys are really good. We'll go looking for them. I'm looking at the ground here at the same time, watching the ground for Mr. Rattleback. And we start finding good clumps on this tree also. Oh yeah, this tree's got them. This tree's got them, look at that. Those branches right there. Cluster of 4, cluster of 3. Right here beside it's another cluster of 3. Cluster of 3, cluster of 4, cluster of 3. This tree's loaded. It's got them good. Right there's another good cluster. Look at that. There, and there. That's what I like to see. We've caught a rattlesnake or 2 out in this field, honey. You remember that, don't you? So I'm kind of watching where I step. Honey, some of these baby trees here are loaded. Big old beautiful ones loaded up. Nice, huh? Sure is beautiful out here this evening, isn't it? It was 90 degrees when we left the house. Got up to 101 today, but it's probably about 80 now and got a little breeze, mostly in the shade. I'm loving it, aren't you? Yes. I've got to stop and look here because this is just a pretty spot. This is up here by the barn. But look at the wildflowers here. This is just pretty right here. I want you to look at the wildflowers. Benelli went down there and jumped in the pond. Here splashing around. Sounds like a cow down here. But look at all the pretty wildflowers on the edge of that pond. I don't know what kind of wildflowers those are, but that's beautiful, isn't it? That's absolutely gorgeous. It's getting close to dark. We're not going to have a chance to look at all the trees. This is a big one that's right here by this pond, and obviously there's got to be good underground water here because this tree seems to have them on it every year. It's got them again this year too. Look right here, you can see those big old pecans right there. More there, more there, more there. You can look up through there, clusters of pecans all on this branch. And this is just a really low-hanging branch right here. When we pulled up here, Chris said, oh my, she saw all of them up here. And they go all the way to the top like that. And we go around and just look at these little low-hanging branches like that. It seems like that they've all got pecans on them. Look at this branch right here. Yep, they're there. Look at those clusters. We like to see those clusters. One like that's not a good deal. When you see those clusters of 3, 4, and 5, that's always really, really nice. Pull that branch down there. I don't see much on that branch. There's a few. That branch is really, it's got a few more than you might think. When all the leaves on them, it comes kind of, yeah, look at them over here. It becomes a little bit more difficult to be able to see them and find them. When all the leaves are off, you can look up there and you can see that there's a lot of pecans. So that tree's good. That tree's good. That old fly pen right there, we were thinking about covering that with a tarp and making a greenhouse, a small greenhouse. We got that larger fly pen back behind it. If that smaller one works, we'll make a larger one. Yeah, buddy. Okay, we didn't get to look at all the pecan groves. We just run out of daylight. Look at that sunset back there. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that sunset pretty back there? We run out of daylight on that, but with the big pecan grove is right over here behind me. You can't see much of it. I can't see it. There's too many pecan trees. There's probably a couple, 200 or 300 pecan trees in that grove right there, and that's really a big one, and it's got lots and lots of trees in it. But since it's up here, this is up here close to the garden, I thought I would take a look at a little bit of where we put the humus soil down. And we planted a few watermelon and cantaloupe seeds. Now we had some other seeds and we just run out of time and didn't get it done. But I just want to show you what's happened here. Now we have had a little bit of rain. This has been here 3 weeks. It's been here 3 weeks since we planted these. So it seems like to me it's been a long time. But we had a full 10 days with no rain at all. And then we had 2 tenths and then another 2 tenths. And we had 1.9, which was 2 weeks into it. And then it's been about 10 days since we had a drop of rain. So this is all in August with a lot of days over 105 degrees. I'm just going to switch this camera around and just kind of go down through here to this one row where we put humus soil and put a few seeds. Keep in mind, it's August, and let me show you what happened. All right, so we begin to look down here, we find that we do have, I told Apache he's probably planting these a little bit deep, but we do have cantaloupes and watermelons starting to come up here. And as we go down through here, we see they're not very big. They're not very big. I don't remember which we planted them, which end. But I want you to look right here. And this is where, look at there. Now, some of this is where we had watermelons before, because you see all of this right here? This is pretty amazing to me. This is where we put the humus soil. And now we planted some right there in the center. But then look at all of them that's wild growing out to the side. That's from watermelon seeds that were simply laying in the ground. Watermelon or cantaloupe one. I think this is watermelon on this end. I'm not positive. This is watermelon seeds and cantaloupe that was simply laying on the ground. And they're clear out there where we put the humus soil and 100-degree heat and a kind of a wild garden is coming up in addition to, that's probably one of the seeds we planted. That's kind of a big plant coming up there. But you look at all of this right here and all the way down this entire, you see the humus soil still laying on top right there. And again, we did not till this in with the ground. Look at those over there. There's a bunch of plants coming up right there. That's just from seeds, wild seeds that were left here. I don't know what that is there. That's some sort of something coming up. And as we go down through here, we find that's exactly what's happening all the way down this row. And we look at here. Now, I think we're getting into cantaloupes now. But we look into here and we get out here again where this is where we spread the seed. You see the dark dirt there? The dark dirt is where there's humus soil that we spread on top of the ground. And we're having a lot of stuff come up. So it's going to be pretty interesting now. Apache's going to come up and put some more accelerator on it. And because we haven't had any rain in 10 days. We've had all these 100-degree days. Those are watermelons. But we got lots of stuff coming up. Lots of stuff. Now this is right in that's where we planted. These right here are where we planted. But you can see the stuff coming up in addition to what we planted. So it's pretty amazing when you look and you figure that this is happening in August with some days 110, 111, 112 was the hottest we've seen. I think it made it to 100 today even, or 101. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. All right, guys and girls, that was a fun ride out here this evening. It's about to get dark on us. And Chris is there in the mule. We've got a sunset going on behind us right there. We might try to run over to Canyon Lake real quick and let Benelli retrieve a few times in the lake and watch the sunset from over there. Guys and girls, have you a great one out there. Fish lucky. And remember, I sure do love you.